Hey everybody, I'm Katie Arroyo,
And I'm Laura Manaswich.
and this
And this
is
is
Pinky
Pinky
Promise,
Promise.
a
It's a
podcast.
podcast about growing up. Oh no, that part's not
We never
usually at the
synced
same
that
time.
one. Yeah, that one I was like, I'm gonna let Laura take it, and then at the last minute I jumped in.
Yeah, you were the boy in gym class.
Yeah, I was. I was the guy in the meeting. I had to talk. But yeah, we are very excited this week. We're going to be talking about peer pressure with Liz Miele. Hey, Liz.
Hi.
I have finally stopped introducing guests as if they're walking onto a stage, which was a hard habit to break.
Oh yeah, I could see that. Also, like I'm like I have like my Muppet hair out. Like I'm fine, just like coming off camera and being like, "Hi." You tell me what you need. I'll make
like
it work.
I can pop in, whatever you need.
Yeah. I come out of the closet in the background. Like I'm like pretend like the
Popping
Sesame
in.
Street.
We have a very special guest today.
Yeah, she just came from her closet. It's very, very small.
Usually like 15 minutes before we start, I'm like, why don't you consider mascara? Why don't you just pick yourself up, go look in a mirror, quick minute.
Well, it's really funny because I started a retinol cream. You know all the things you wanted to do because you either didn't have time
Yes.
or like you didn't have the discipline, or you knew something like retinol cream where it actually gets worse before it gets better.
Yes.
So I do a podcast as well, and I started a retinol cream, and my skin absolutely, the purging, it got worse.
Yeah.
But this is not HD, so I'd be complaining about it, and my friend would be like, "You look great," and I was like,
"Your skin looks so good."
Yeah, well, now it looks amazing. I'm out. I'm blooming, and actually now I'm upset it's not HD because I'm just like, fucking look, no wrinkle. I'm just bored.
I was like, this is your break. Like that's your retinol breakout. I was like, mine didn't look like that.
But the nice thing about 750 or whatever the fuck this is that it whether I broke out or my skin looked amazing, it looks the same. So only I know that I now look amazing because it all reads, this is like 4 pixels or
the 4 pixels of you look like a really good skin.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'm like, my retinol breakout was like an acid rain.
Like, oh my God. I went from not washing my face at night to like a 45-minute skincare regimen, to the point where I'm like, do I have to quit comedy for my skin? Because like when we come home at like midnight, 2 a.m, and like I don't like, you're lucky if I put on PJs or like
you're just like, I have to sit, and you're like not washing your face, and then also you drink beer and ate gross food, and then if you're lucky, you'll smear eyeshadow off of your eyes. But
just like take a wipe. Doesn't even matter if it's a Clorox wipe or otherwise. You're just like,
fine. They do the same.
Good.
My face. You're like, this is also for COVID.
Yeah. I'm clear all around. Yeah, that is funny. I do have like a routine now too, and I've never had a routine of like, there's never been. I'm like, I feel like we're all getting to the point where we look hotter than we should. And there's nowhere to go. And it's like, oh, is that what happens when I pluck my eyebrows and wear makeup and work out and eat better because I have time to cook?
Yeah, my skin looks better than it ever did, but I would say everything else has gone, like I don't wash my hair. I don't change from, I've now decided, because I really don't do anything, that I have to switch my leggings midweek. That's the only, because it was getting to the point where I was like, I've slept and wore this every day for 5 days, and I can't remember when I showered.
Yeah.
And I have roommates. I don't live alone. I have roommates, and they don't say anything because they're nice people. But like, I was like, let's just pretend like there's a reason to change. And so now I have a midweek change your leggings moment, and that seems like a refresh. Like every Wednesday.
Plenty. Yeah. I was getting more strict with like the jeans accountability checks. Like a couple times a week, you have to put on jeans just to see how it's going. And then like the sads got, they were like, I was crushing the game for a minute, and I was doing really well. And then like, the seasons changed, and I was like, well, okay, well, we're back to 4 to 5 days of stretch a week. But less mirrors.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So speaking of looking hot, we're talking about peer pressure today. Laura, did you get peer pressured growing up?
I don't really think so. And I think like I spent so much time in like elementary school where they like in the drug programs where they're like, people are gonna people are gonna like threaten to not be your friend if you don't want to do drugs. And I was like, man, I can't believe that's gonna happen to me. And that was never once the
No one
case.
offered
And I
you
was like, yeah, no one offered me drugs, first of all.
I like the idea that you spent years practicing that you'd be like, no,
Yeah.
no, my mom loves me. No, I don't want to die. Like you're like in the mirror getting ready, and then you're
You're
just
like,
looking
"Oh,
around,
Yeah.
and you're like, am I not cool enough to be offered drugs?
That's
Nobody
right.
even told me that moment would come.
That's right. I was like, I will wear my retainer in my school picture as a badge of honor. And when someone offers me marijuana, I know my worth. And then they were like, yeah, we're not gonna waste it on this nerd. You know? So it didn't really happen for me. Then my friends were like, we get it. You're fine.
I remember like one night we were out and I would drink like crazy amounts. So that was never a problem, like of getting peer pressured into it. But I remember I was at a party and everybody had gone and done like speed. And they like came downstairs and I was like, you guys did speed without me? And they were like, yeah, we just like, we know you're not like, you're just an alcohol person. And I was like, but you didn't even ask me. They were like, well, we just didn't think you would do it. Did you want some? And I was like, no, but I just like can't believe you're not
I'd
asking.
love to be asked. I love
wanna
to be
be
considered
invited.
for speed.
Yeah. It's like, this is so rude, but I also don't want to take any and don't ask me.
Yeah. No.
Also, this might be a really dumb question, but like, what is speed? Like, you know what I mean? Like, speed was a thing.
Yeah.
And nobody says speed anymore. So
No.
what was speed? Was speed Adderall? Was speed?
I feel like, because I remember my friends would call it like uppers or speed, and I don't remember it being like someone's prescription medicine. Like I remember it being
Was it
like,
Coke?
But that's not a term we hear anymore.
no,
No.
Isn't that
yeah,
weird?
yeah,
Because like
it
now
has to be something.
I'm thinking about it. I'm like, what's speed?
I'll Google it.
Yeah, I was like,
somebody tell me what speed is.
so I
Other
can
than a
peer
movie,
pressure
a
other
great
people.
movie with Keanu Reeves.
It's an
says
amphetamine.
Amphetamine. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it leaves it up to the user to decide which kind.
Yeah, I guess.
Or meth, or was it like
meth.
pre-meth?
Crystal meth. Common street names are crystal meth, crank. Well, I'm glad I said no.
Okay,
Crank
so
meth.
so speed and meth are the same. It's kind of weird.
guess
I did
so.
not know that.
I didn't
I
either.
read a book that I guess is, I don't know if it's YA, but I feel like it kind of was supposed to be, and it was called Crank, and it was just like this girl. I love
It was
fucked
like
up
train
books from a young
spottings
age.
for 14-year-old girls.
Essentially, yeah, it was just this like girl who like lived in a shitty town and like hung out with the wrong people and got very into meth. So not a great, not like a motivating factor book, but like I liked it. I was like, this is more. See, I'm not gonna hang out with these kids, but yeah, it was just called
That's
Crank.
part of your preparation. I can't end up like Crank.
Yeah, that's right. I had to like do my essentially like my martial arts, like no, for drugs, you know.
I do like the idea you read it and you just hand it to people that offer you drugs.
Yeah.
You're like, this is a tale you might want to read about your future.
Cautionary tale.
Just
Okay,
saying.
You
Just
should
Jen?
saying.
think about
I know
it.
people that do drugs don't read, but
Yeah.
I kind of think you should do this.
If you could learn, that'd be great.
I'll read it to you. Why don't you come over? We will have lemonade.
Yeah.
No drugs. I don't do those.
Please don't bring your speed into my home. Okay.
I was like so terrified of getting peer pressured into something when I was like 13, 14ish, but I was like, I remember just having like snappy comebacks of like why I didn't want to
Really?
do something, and then I took a tactic of like, because I was hanging around with a lot of people that did a lot of drugs. Like I had a like my close group of girlfriends, we didn't do much except drink a lot, but all the people we were with were like later on, like now they're all dying. Like I'm like, oh my god, how did we make it out like never doing something? And I think I just always was like, you can do whatever you want, I'm not gonna judge you, it's just like not for me. I like took that route.
How old are you?
I'm 37.
No,
but
in
how
this
old are you?
story.
Yeah,
In this story,
yeah.
like we were like 14 to, well, it was 14 until like 20. But like when I was 14-ish was when there was more of a discrepancy between like the girls who were like already having sex, and I was like, what, I like thought a blowjob involved blowing, so I was like, I just don't want to be like pressured into any of this weird stuff that I'm not gonna know how to do. And so like, but I think having like a big mouth made it so that I could get away with like hanging out with those people but not get bullied into doing something. But I remember like getting like I would get I knew a girl whose parents were divorced. She was just like a girl in your book, and but we could just like lie and say we were at one of the parents' homes. And so we would like go to party, like sleep over at these like guys who were like 18 and we were like 14, 15 at that point. So like, yeah, it's just Laura's like, this is exactly what I said no to. But I would be at that thing and I'd be like, I'm not going to sleep with you. Also, it's weird. And I would tell them, I'd be like, it's weird that you're hanging out with 15-year-old girls, but like, we're here now. Do you have beer?
Yeah.
But like, I remember like constantly being nervous. And then at some point, I think I realized like, no one's going to ask you. And like if they ask you, they don't care if you say no, which was like a weird,
I feel like I was peer pressured more to drink in my 20s than ever when I was younger. Because I'm very similar to you, Katie. Like I don't know. I feel like when I was 14, 15, 16, I did it because I wanted to do it. I was sad. My friends were doing it. Like I didn't even like drinking that much. I was a pothead. So like drinking was like, I'll do it. Yeah. But then first it was like, I would make the rounds. I was like that with pot. But I would make the rounds. I'd be like, does anybody have pot? Feelers out. Liz needs pot. Like I would have, like we would get to a party and I'd be like, find out if they have pot. Hey, can you find out if he has pot? He usually has pot. Can you see if he has pot? So we would like the first 10 minutes to 20 minutes of the party was trying to see if Liz could get high. And then if not, I'd be like, fine, I'll have this. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was like, and then sometimes I wouldn't even drink because I was just like, I didn't enjoy it. Mm-mm. And then I kind of quit everything when I was 17 because I got into stand-up when I was 16. And I started going to I grew up in Jersey, so I started going to the city every weekend. And I clearly was doing drugs and drinking because I was unhappy and I was numbing out, and it was like, self-medicating myself, even pot. Like I remember so clearly telling somebody when I was 15 that I was chill. Now, I mean, I wish my therapist was here to tell you all the issues I have, like my anxiety and my OCD, and you know what I mean, and like all my problems. And I was like, oh, that's so funny because I was just high all the time. I still have no chill, and now I have panic attacks when I smoke weed. I was like, I feel like I made that statement, and then my brain was like, we'll show her how no chill she has.
Right.
Mark
my words.
I feel that statement because I did not like accept that I have probably ADHD and definitely anxiety until like 2 or 3 years ago, where I started being like, oh, I'm anxious. Like that overperforming and like constantly needing to do like 3,000 things is me not being able to like sit with myself. But I would say like the same thing that you did all the time. I'd be like, oh, I'm like super chill. Like, oh, your girlfriend gets jealous. I'm not that kind of person. Like, I don't even put the time into it. And what it was like, I'm just not going to connect with a person.
Oh yeah. I was completely, emotionally completely shut down. Even when I wasn't high, it was just like a complete numb mess. And then when I was high, I was just like eating Frosted Flakes by myself. Like I was
being chill.
I'm just like, oh, I'm so chill. And then fast forward, so I stopped kind of doing most stuff. And
now, why did you stop? Because of something? Did you make a conscious decision to stop, or did it just happen?
Yeah, I didn't really I never really enjoyed it. I was actually a designated I'm a very responsible, irresponsible person. I think my mom is starting to piece together because she watches my stand up and she listens to my podcast, and she's like, "You were a bad kid," and I was like, "Kind of." Like, if being a bad kid is doing illegal stuff, then yes. But I was really good. I would drive people home before, like if like I had a friend, I don't know if his family was like religious, but he was Middle Eastern. He had like a bunch of siblings. He was like the bad kid. He was a triplet, and he had the other ones were girls. So he was the only boy in this triplet. I don't know how to say that. Not like
bad boy. Yeah.
But he was like, so the fact that he had sisters and that he was always getting into trouble. So he had a curfew. And so he would hang out with us. until midnight, and then he would have to be home. So I would stay sober, drive him home, come back, and then catch up to get like high and drunk with my friends, because I knew I didn't want to, I knew it wasn't right to be on the road. I knew whatever. And then I would like sober up. I would leave. My dad used to pick me up before I could drive. My dad would pick me up at 6 a.m. to start my day after sleepovers. So I knew that I had to be like awake to watch my brothers and sisters. I'm one of 5. I'm the second oldest of 5. And
I was gonna ask you if you're an older sibling, because like I'm getting the older sibling vibes here.
I have friends that are older than
mom.
me. Yeah, that are still like, I was just like, it's weird that I'm 10 years older, but I feel like you're my older sister. So I was just one of those people that was like, I always made sure like homework was done. I was a good student. I was a good friend. I didn't do anything kind of illegal in the sense that I wasn't endangering anybody's life. But I like, it was almost like my time was like, let's just get fucked. Like, you know what I mean? And I was always so funny. My dad would drop me off at a sleepover when I was like 14, 15. And he was like, make sure you go to bed early. And I was like, sure, Dad. And then I would go to bed at 4 and he'd pick me up at 6. And he's like, when did you go to bed? And I'd be like, oh, it was a little late. It was like midnight. And like, he doesn't know. I'm like, oh God.
I want to die.
And I was like, Dad, I think I had some bad Chinese food. Just like a mess. But then like fast forward, people in college were drinking a lot, but I was doing shows every single night in college. Like I was packing a lunch and packing my school books and like doing like college homework at bars waiting to go on stage. So I just didn't really hang out with people as much. And maybe like once or twice a month I would hang out and I would have a beer, but I never really enjoyed drinking. And then after college, I had a couple of friends that I would get a drink with, but I didn't enjoy it. And then I started having panic attacks on weed when I was like 22, but I still kept doing it until I was probably 25 because I was like, no, it's not that. Yeah, like just justifying it for years, even though almost every time I was having a panic attack.
Oh my God.
Oh, the worst. I like truly where you're like, oh, I did this to relax. It's not relaxing anymore, yet I'm still doing it. It's actually better to be sober, but I can't deal with the mental. So then when I would just like have drinking buddies, like friends that I would get a drink with after, and comedy is such a, they give you free drinks.
Yeah.
And any friend that I met up to have like that drink was always like, have a drink. And I'd be like, actually, no, I have a spot later. Or, oh, I'm pretty tired. Or like, I didn't have a lot of money, like spending $8 on a beer you don't really want.
Yeah.
But I have more examples of friends in college of them being like, have a drink. And I'm like, I'm fine. They're like, have a drink. And they're like, I'm like, I don't really want to. I'll have a drink. I'll buy it. I still don't want it. Like, you know what I mean? Like I still don't. And then the trick I did with my buddy Prakash, who's a really good friend of mine, but like, he would be so annoying where he'd be like, have a drink. And I'd be like, no. And he's like, have a drink. And I'm like, fine, I'll have a Malibu Bay Breeze. He's like, I'm not ordering that. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. And it got to the point where like cause I like sugary drinks. I would like get a headache before, like I would have a hangover before I was done drinking.
Your body was just like, I have problems with this drink that don't even involve the alcohol.
Yeah, but I truly just wanted juice and he wouldn't accept that. But it got to the point where that would be my drink of choice. And he became friends with the bartender. So he never had to say it out loud. He's like, can you get Liz's drink? But that was the biggest thing. I was like, you as a man have to order me a Malibu Bay Breeze. And he's like, I'm not doing that. And I was like, well, then I'm not. I only want my drinks to be pink. That's what I want.
Yeah, I think there's really like a ton of I think you're right on with the adults. Like this culture is just like saturated in booze, and so there's a lot of like I've heard people I know and love talk about it, and like there's books and stuff that it's just like how to get out of drinking in a society that is obsessed with drinking, and I am like, I can't read that because what if it makes me want to not drink anymore, which is problematic. But I don't know. I like to your point, I think that's exactly right. Like I've found myself in my adult life like not going to the pub after things because I don't want to get stuck. If I've like told myself like it's not a night that I'm going to drink, it's like, but I know if I go hang out for 2 hours, that's what's going to happen, along with like a bunch of food I don't need and a bunch of time and money spent that I would have liked to go home and be asleep. So tomorrow I don't whine about why don't I feel well. It's like, well, you knew the answer to
or
that.
You have to lie to people. Like I'll get like a ginger ale, just having something in your hand so nobody asks you, because really doesn't it feel like adults don't want to be alone with their problems?
That's what it is.
Like they don't want to be alone with their addiction. They're just like, they're like, hey, are you going to remember this night? And I'm like, no.
No, we're both.
No, dude, I'm already buzzed. These bubbles are crazy.
Yeah.
So are you sober now, or you just don't drink as much?
I am, and I actually have a new joke about this. I am, but not for any of the reasons we've talked about.
Yeah.
Isn't that the funniest part? Is like I never really, so that it wasn't hard for me to give up, but I had really bad stomach issues. I probably have had them my whole life, by the way. But I found out I was allergic to yeast when I was 25, and basically they said, you know, clearly cut out beer and bread and like anything, but like if you're gonna drink, you can have like triple distilled vodka or triple distilled whiskey. I never liked whiskey or brandy or any of that stuff. So I was like now limited, and I never really liked beer either, although I was up to 4 beers, and that was like if I did have one drink, I was like, oh, I like this one beer, like whatever. And then if that bar didn't have it, I'm like, fuck this place. Like I was like, I can't be here. I can't hang. But you know, I never loved vodka, but it was when that was the only thing. So I would get like, you know, I don't even know what things are anymore. Screwdriver, whatever, like something simple. If I needed to have something, but my stomach still hurt. And then I started getting deeper and deeper into like leaky gut and anything that has to do with like why your stomach would not feel good. And like it was funny, I went gluten-free first because I knew it had like, I started to just put it together that I would have bread in my stomach hurt. Then I got this blood test and I did a bunch of other tests, and they were like, yeast is not your friend. So then I did everything out, and I still tried to maintain drinking once in a while. Again, it was never a problem. And then it still just didn't feel good. And it was the easiest thing to cut out that instantly made me feel better.
Isn't that crazy?
And I never went back. So it's like, and what's funny is my joke is about how nobody likes that answer. Like, they hear that you have like a problem.
That's not traumatic. There's no YA book about leaky gut.
Exactly. They want to hear that you hit some kind of emotional rock bottom. And then I go into like a long story that never happened. But like it is funny that like if I was an alcoholic or like a recovering alcoholic, people will be like, oh, you're so brave. You're a hero for, you know, but like, no one would clearly peer pressure me, and people would be very understanding. But like, one, that story is boring, and two, like nobody. I actually had a dude once be like, yeah, everybody's stomach hurts. Like a dude was like almost being like, what are you, a wuss?
That's
like,
just drinking.
Everybody eats or drinks garbage and then their stomach hurts. Like, aren't you an American? Like, it was just
like, yeah, but what if you figured out it doesn't have to?
Exactly. And like, that's the other thing is I gave up bread, and I would say I've had more people make me feel bad and look at me like I'm crazy when I tell them I don't eat bread. And actually it's now that keto's a thing, because
now you're probably shining right now.
Dude, I've had more bread in the last year because of keto, because there was so gluten-free doesn't mean yeast-free. So that doesn't help me at all. And then I think I found some almond-y thing, but it was like too much almond flour, and that hurt my stomach. And then some keto bread, not great. You have to toast it. It's not the best thing. But you know, when you want a grilled cheese and you haven't had one in 10 years. So like I've made some grilled cheeses during this pandemic that I'm just like, I think I figured out life. Like,
I've been 5 years ago, I got diagnosed with celiac. So I've been gluten-free, which is like also like so embarrassing to be like, you can't have gluten, and being like, trust me, I would love to. It's just,
it's more
I'm
like,
not,
I'll die.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled about future cancer, you know, like fine. But the other week for my birthday, my boyfriend brought over a breakfast burrito, and he was like, do you want a breakfast burrito? It's gluten-free. And I was like, I don't think I've held a tortilla in burrito form in my hands in 5 years. And I was like, well, yeah, I think you have to bring it now if that's an option. And I sat there for like 15 minutes screaming about every ingredient inside of the burrito because I was so excited to be able to eat. I was like, I feel like all the people on like the Food Network, on like the Guy Fieri shows that are like the tater tots for lunch. Like I was that person
with flavor.
Yeah, because I got to hold a tortilla in my hands, and I couldn't believe how lucky I was.
But it's so funny that you tell somebody you have a problem and they judge you, and you're like, hey buddy, it's not a choice. I haven't had pizza in 10 years. It's not a choice.
Yeah.
Like I almost think like my my Italian ancestors are going to be like, we have to take away some of
They're
your.
like, get out of here.
Yeah, you're all of skin. You didn't earn that. My cat's like almost hanging herself with this cord. She's
boy.
just,
She
like,
really wants to be involved.
she's like truly wrapped. I don't even know how she did that. It's not that she wants to be involved. She sees me sit at my computer all day. And if like, okay, like we have a big barbell in our living room. And if like me and my roommate are lifting weights, if I'm cooking, if I'm doing anything active, she just sits and watches. But if I sit in front of my computer, if I lay down and look at my phone, she's like, "Rah!" And I was like, are you my mom? Like,
she's like, get up, go outside.
like, live your life. And I'm just like, I tried for like almost 35 years. And then the world said no. And now I'm here. Like
The world suggested I sit in my room for a long time.
Like I just got grounded and you're fucking yelling at me for not doing enough. Fuck off.
Like, get out.
My friend has a new quarantine cat who's similar. Like if she's sitting down to work, the cat needs to also be involved. And so she's like been researching like how to combat when your cat wants to be involved. And it's basically like give your cat a project to do next to you.
No,
so you guys can work together.
This is not peer pressure. This is just a life hack. We have 2 cats that decide to like, they don't really bother us, but they will like dramatically fight only when you're trying to be quiet or like do, like this, just like it's quiet time. And they're like, it's time to dramatically fight. So we bought, for Christmas, I bought them this like laser toy that shoots out a laser on a timer and it goes off like every hour or so, and they have like, it keeps them busy because they're just, you don't have to do it just shoots it around like you would want to play with that. And it was like $15 on Amazon.
So I've tried. I have a geriatric cat. My cat's 15 and a half, so she's 84 years old. She's an old lady. She does not want to play. That's not the thing. Like I've tried. Like I thought like maybe she's not exhausted. She's literally anytime, any toy, she does not want to play. But I have noticed, like I like watching cartoons, like whether it's adult cartoons or kid cartoons, I just like them. So I'm watching this show on Netflix called Hilda. It's like a kid's cartoon. It's very bright colors, big eyes, whatever. And she'll lay on my lap and she'll watch it with me. And I was like, I have an iPad that is kind of almost broken, but I was like, if I charge this thing and just give her own, like, and they do have like kiddie channels. I was like, am I setting up a TV? Like, I was like,
like
okay,
a
like
kid.
put it in a box, like almost like a, like get her a little give her some popcorn, like, yeah, like truly, I was like, am I gonna set up a home entertainment center for my cat so that I can get work done? And the answer is I'm pretty close.
Yeah.
Like, I'm almost
happen. There. I think we're all making decisions now that we're spending more time at home that we didn't think we would make.
Yeah. It's so funny. The amount of times that like I'm doing a podcast or I'm in a like I was in like kind of an important meeting and I was like, hey, sorry. And then I was like, I'm in a meeting. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just like,
well, when you were shushing her, I thought you were talking to like a person, and I was like, "Oh, it's like I don't make whoever's in the house like don't put them out."
and then of course my cat's flying across screen.
And then the cat just like shoots into frame. It's like, it's me, bitch.
But the best part, so I have 2 roommates. She'll just cry outside my door. I could let her out, but then she's just gonna cry outside their door. So it's just like, but she's looking at me like, it's just, sorry, this is my life. Right. Like it always gets. I should drink, guys.
You know what would make you feel better? Weed.
Yeah, need some drugs. I need drugs. I've never been a talk about kitty pressure. I've never been a what's it called? Catnip person. But then I was just so desperate that I bought her every catnip toy, and I was like, and I did research, and the shit, like, it really is like their weed. And I was like, in her face, I was like, get high on this. Like it was a banana, and I was like, just do drugs. Calm.
I'm peer pressuring her.
Oh, and I have calming spray. She's wearing a calming collar. I have a calming plug-in. And again, I was like, I've clearly created a cat with the same abandonment issues and OCD and anxiety. Like I literally, she knows I'm talking about it. But I was like, first of all, I was like, does this calming spray work on me? Because I'll use it like Banaka. Like I'll just fucking get into it.
Yeah.
You see me, it's like my perfume now. I'm just like, it's my calming. People are like, is that pheromones? I love it.
You're like, yeah. You're like, well, also I haven't changed my leggings in 3 days. So.
Yeah, thank you for noticing. It's a little bit of stench, a little bit of calming.
It's just me.
It's like sandalwood. It's safe. It's a savory scent.
The other thing is that like so we do our podcast, she cries throughout the whole goddamn thing, and then I'll have to like edit it, and I've been editing and been like, oh fuck, can't find her anywhere, she sleeps under the covers, can't find her anywhere, and I'm like, where is she crying from? And then I realize it's
the podcast.
what I'm editing.
It is like quite a she's not gonna quit.
No, she's not. Come here, I just want to be your friend. We're just friendship. Yeah, just look at the little face. How do you not love this?
Oh, sweet little
Even
face.
if she's the worst.
I love when you pick her up and then she's just like, no, I'm totally, what are you doing?
My favorite thing about cats is they're just kind of like, yeah,
they don't care. They don't participate in any of you holding them. They're just like,
I like how this was about peer pressure, and I was just like, really, it's about how cats ruin your life.
We can change the subject.
Yeah. Please, I like the idea that you like start typing it and you're like, delete. I was like, we got off track here.
You guys know about how cats, cats.
Cats. Oh God. But yeah, I think it is funny, like even talking about it, I feel like I've learned more and more, and I already had social anxiety. I think that's probably half the reason I was doing drugs when I was a teenager. But I do think my social anxiety in some ways has gotten worse as an adult, because I do feel kind of like a loser and kind of ostracized.
You don't
like,
have the crutch.
Here's a story, and like this is like one of those things that it really upset me, but now it's like whatever. But like about 4 years ago, I was at the Stand, and I didn't even have spots. I had done my spots, and I was meeting up with a girlfriend of mine that had spots there, and I'm sitting at the comics table, and a girl that I've known for like 10 years, we're not close, but whatever. And I'm sitting there. Keep in mind, I was talking about a book that was about suicide. So when you hear what I'm about to say, you're going to be like, she's not wrong. But she comes over and, it's like midnight, maybe 1 a.m. And she's like, oh, Liz, you're not fun at all, are you? Out of nowhere. And she didn't even hear about the suicide book I had been talking about. She didn't even know. And I was like, excuse me? She's like, you don't drink. You don't like, how do you live your life being so unfun? And I'm like,
what the fuck?
I really was. I was like, what the fuck? And so I just, even if my whole body is like, I'll fucking murder you, I was just like, I'm just going to go home.
Yeah.
And I just like stood up, and like all my friends are like, where are you going? I was like, I'm not going to fucking take this. Like, this is fucking bullshit. And then one of my friends like follows me out, and he was just like, what's going on? And I was just like, it's not the worst thing anybody said to me, but like, why am I like, why I didn't even ask for that. Like, what the fuck? And I just went
not
home.
Yeah.
But I was so angry, and like really, like you really pull back. I was like hurt, and there's a part of me that probably is hurt because I think she's right.
I was just gonna say, do you feel like you're self-conscious about that? So then she's saying that and you're like, maybe I'm not fun.
Yeah. And then my friend called me later, and she's like, dude, she drinks, she's a drunk, like this is how she like communicates with people, and I'm sure she didn't mean it. I was like, I don't even care if she meant it. Like, fuck you. I would never say that to anybody in any state.
I think it's one of those things where she's like, she's a drunk. That's her version of being not fun. Like,
yeah. And then of course
I get cunty.
Yeah. And then of course after I calm down, I'm like, I did at 1 o'clock in the morning tell guys, like tell 2 men about a suicide book, like an anti-suicide book I was reading.
Fine.
And then I was just like, she's not wrong. Like, I am like telling people not only about books, but about like the saddest topic you can think about while sober, while people are like either just finishing work or about to work. I was like, she's not wrong.
But it's uncalled for. It was not a necessary.
Oh yeah. And and sometimes you need that harsh divide where you go, okay, so this is clearly something I'm insecure about, and something that makes me feel like there's the have and the have-nots. but I know so many people that are the haves that wish they were on the other side, that wish that they didn't have to drink, that wish that, that they could push back. Not even like if they have a problem, just they don't know how to say no in a social situation. And even like your stories earlier where you were able at, 14, 15, 16 to be like, no, yes, like, and navigate that. I think there's a lot of people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that still don't know how to assert themselves or what have you. So I think I think it's been 5 years since I drank. It becomes its own skill. So turning down that makes it easier to say no to something else that makes you uncomfortable or something else you don't enjoy. And it does become like, I can just be myself. And also, if I don't want to go to that party because people, figured a party, if people are going to make me uncomfortable, then why was I going in the first place? Like if I was going to have 2 drinks to enjoy that party, maybe I shouldn't be hanging out with these people because I don't need 2 drinks to hang out with my close friends. And so it was a very late lesson, but it was like, okay, this is
I don't even think it's as late as you think it is, because I think there's a lot of people still that, like, especially I want to say more men that I know that are just like, yeah, I drink a lot, like, and they'll go and get totally smashed, and then they're like, well, I just didn't. They're just actually uncomfortable being at a party. And so they're getting smashed, and they don't know how to they don't even know how to just do 2 drinks. It's just like no drinks or 100 drinks.
Yeah.
So you're like, I think you're picking that up earlier than some people just never pick that up. I think.
Yeah. I've been in my 30s for a good long time now, but I still think that like truly one of the best parts of it was like figuring out the power of saying no and not going to, specifically not going to things, and being like, it is mentally exhausting to consider going to this thing that I don't want to go to, that like now I can see I don't want to go to, that I've spent the past 12 years of my life being consumed with like what happens if you don't go, and all the pressures of that. Now being like, I'd love to stay home and take my bra off instead of smile through wearing a strapless bra. Like I've cut strapless bras out of my life entirely, which has been incredible. But but like just being able to be like, oh, I don't want to do something and I'm not going to feel bad for a week about it, has been an incredible lesson. That like now when people are aging up, I'm like, just wait, it's so cool to say no.
It's actually really interesting. It's on my like, I made like a New Year's resolution thing, me and my friend did for our podcast, and I was like, if the answer is no, then the answer is no. Like, because how many times has somebody asked you for something, like they might text you and your whole body is like, I don't fucking want to do that.
Yeah.
And then I, as a people pleaser, is like, how's Tuesday? You know what I mean? Like I'm like watching myself type it, and I'm like,
or they're like writing and you're like, oh, only the most inconvenient day? Sure.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. I'll move all my meetings.
Yes. You spend a minute and a half screaming, God fucking damn it, at your phone. And then as you text back, like, yeah, totally. 6 emojis.
And it's like, and some of that has to do with like creating boundaries and all this other stuff I've been working on in general. But I was just like, the amount of times that I say no in my head, say yes to the thing, and then call my friend and then vent about saying yes. And I'm like, we could just cut out like half of this process and just say no. Even with comedy. So
that's
like,
what I was just gonna say. Yeah, go ahead.
So there's like a 2-parter. So I remember, we all know in the beginning you have to just say yes to everything. That's how you get good. It doesn't matter if you even know this show is going to be shitty. You just have to take everything. But I remember probably 4 years in, there was this, I lived in the East Village at the time, and there was a really shitty show, but all shows are shitty when you're shitty. Like everything's just shitty. But it was the worst. Like you couldn't get anything out of it. People are shouting or not listening. Everything about it was horrible. And I had done it 3 times in a row, and I'm walking home, and it's only like a 5-minute walk from where I live. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. And feeling really guilty because I was always told you don't say no to anything. Everything is an opportunity to that. I was like,
hustle, grind.
Yeah. But you're like, I don't feel good leading up to it. It doesn't feel good doing it. It doesn't feel good afterwards. I don't learn anything. There's zero redeeming quality. Why am I doing this? And it was like such a perfect lesson. And like, you should get something from something, you know what I mean? Even if it's you bomb, but you learn something about it, but there was nothing. And then fast forward, just in general, like I've been, I write scripts, I do, what do you call it, packets to write for other shows, blah, blah, blah. And again, in the beginning, you take on everything, everything's an opportunity, blah, blah, blah. But it got to a point where like I would be working on a packet and I'd be like, I hate working on this packet and I know I could do a good job, but then if I get the job, I have to do this what am I do? Why am I
you're like,
working
I
on
don't
this
even want
thing
this.
that I hate now in the hopes that I get it and someone actually pays me to do something I do? I already like what I do. What am I doing? Like there's sometimes you just get so wrapped into the like somebody, this is what you're supposed
What
to
you're
do.
supposed to want. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is weird. I think this year has been, for me, I found I say yes to everything. Like there would be weeks that I would drive to New Hampshire, then New York, then Newport, Rhode Island, then back to New York, and then I would just be like, yeah, and then work a 40-hour a week job in between that, and I would just be like, that's just what you do. And now I'm like, you know what I mean? Like you're like, well, that's what you do. Like I'm not in like a hub, so I have to drive to those places, and now with this year, I've been like in the beginning I was taking like every spot that was given to me because I was like, I don't know when the next spot is coming. And now I'm like, you know what, if it's a shitty spot that doesn't pay well and is far to drive, I'm like, no, I don't need to do that, because what am I even preparing for what big show? Like what show is coming that I need to get? Like I'm like, there's no other show even coming for me to prepare for, and it feels so like freeing to just be like, no. Like,
Yeah.
it's so weird though, because I've never say no.
I mean, we've talked about this. Like, I moved out to LA last November, so I got a few months in before it all shut down. And so now there's like, am I motivated enough to ask for a spot on a Zoom show that I can like dig through Facebook groups to see who's even putting one on? And sometimes I am, but then like looking at casting notices, it's very much the same thing of like, okay, what am I willing to like risk my literal life for at this point? And it's not old nag lady in an unpaid student film. It's not. and nobody, truly, no one's knocking down my door to have me audition for things, but they will. But at this point, like I'm like, okay, well, I can like alleviate a lot of the guilt of not applying for things when I can consider that if you get this, what else can you get from it? Is it COVID?
Yeah.
And $50 or like a credit? That's not it.
Yeah.
I had a barometer that's pretty similar though, before even COVID. And this came out from like, now I can say no to stuff and I have, somewhat established. But my barometer, I came up with it a couple of years ago, which is if I died on the way to the gig or on the way home from the gig and someone found out how much I was being paid, would I be embarrassed?
That's huge. I love that.
And it really helps. And somebody's just like, well, that's silly and da-da-da-da. And I go, they were like, first someone goes, you'd be dead. And I'd be like, yes, but my ghost would know and my friends would know. And they would also be embarrassed. Like, I just remember I was offered like $300 for something that was like a 7-hour drive. And I was going to have to do a 45-minute set. And it was already going to be a bad gig. And I was like, fuck you. Like I literally was like, no. But there is that hustler inside of you that you can never say no to. It never goes away. It never, being a freelancer, I think in general, let alone a comic, you're always just like, but $300 is $300. Like, why would you say no to that? And da-da-da-da. And then I was like, if
then you do the math. We'll also do the math of like,
oh yeah,
it's actually $20.
Yeah.
By the time you drive, wear your car out, eat on the way. If assuming they give you lodging, if they don't, that's another $100. Or you're sleeping in your car, and you're like, all right, no.
But that's like helped me a lot. And it's like really silly. And then on the other hand of it, like I was in Thailand and I'm not the biggest adventurer. Like I've gotten better as I toured overseas, but I was in Thailand and I only had a day to like see stuff and perform. And I was like, I'm going to take an Uber scooter. I've been on the back of like a motorcycle a couple of times, but like it was my friend that's been, he's been riding a motorcycle for 30 years and he's bigger than me. And I feel like he would parachute and like hold me if we ever died. But I was like, I'm going to get on the back of someone's fucking scooter that does not care about my well-being. I'm going to do it. And my whole thing, and it was scary as all shit. And I was like, come on, this is the coolest way to die if I die. I was like, this is pretty cool. If I die in Thailand on an Uber scooter while touring Asia, yeah, I like that. Like it was the other thing. Like I was like reading my own obituary. It's just like, you know, unknown comedian Liz Miele dies on the back of an Uber scooter going to a Thai flea market in between gigs. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
That sounds good.
I think, yeah. And if that's how you go, like usually, you know, the obituaries don't tell you how. And I think if you go on an Uber scooter, you got to put that in there.
I leave a little note in my pocket, and they're like, "Is this a note?" And then it's just like, "Please tell people how I died. It was dope."
I demand that this is in there.
Even if it's peacefully in my sleep, if you could just
tell them I was on an Uber scooter in Thailand.
Badassly on an Uber scooter.
Just mention the Uber scooter.
Thank you so much.
Throw in # worth it, and then who I'm survived by.
Yeah, her cat, her geriatric cat, and her roommates that didn't know she was dead for 3 weeks.
Until they left.
Roommates who were like, I don't know, we thought she was in her room.
Yeah, I don't know.
The cat's always loud, so we didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't know a difference.
That's wild.
Yeah. I think that's a good barometer though. I think that's a good especially now. I don't know, now that we've had so much time to sit with ourselves for a whole fucking year.
You know, we're shame-based people. So I think that's a really good metric.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Shame's motivated me many times.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's like using the shame in a good way. I like it. Harnessing it.
Yeah, how Mother Teresa intended it.
Yeah, exactly. So
she's
Liz,
like, is it enough money?
Yeah.
People don't know that she was a part-time bookie.
Yeah. She was just the original numbers runner. So Liz, where can people find you?
So everything's at Liz Miele on all the social media. And then I mentioned I have a podcast I do with another comedian. Her name's Maria Shahada. She's American, but she's London based. So we have a podcast called Two Non-Doctors that is of no medical value. And we tell people not to listen to us because we're both morons. And then I have a free special on YouTube called Self Help Me.
Awesome. And we'll put links to all of those in all of the show notes so you guys can find them. And yeah, no problem. I will listen to your album. Actually, it was really, really funny. So you guys do yourselves a favor.
I like how you got attacked by a mic in that.
You don't know what happened.
I was like, what is going? Laura's just casually sitting there, no cat in the room. And
yeah.
the mic just sprung.
She's like swatting
no
at
cat, no motor skills.
Like you were the cat.
That's right. Please tune into my special no cat, no motor skills.
All right, guys.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And everybody just do all the stuff we always ask for. Subscribe, review,
please.
Check out everything. Follow Liz. She's hilarious. And thank you so much.
And say no to things if you want.
Yeah, say no, especially if it's embarrassing.
Bye.
Bye.